because the British were, in their own way, drawing up these schedules for tribes, the 1916 the denotified tribes, which now we talk about, but they were actually making a list, which was called a schedule of tribes, a schedule of castes, and where they were not necessarily criminal tribes, but then they said they declared them as criminal tribes. So we go through these self-perpetuating cycles. The change is coming. That's what the book is about.
Yes, absolutely. And I think those factions, I often hear a lot of people who are in positions of power, and I don't mean politics only, who often think that that following the steps of divide and rule is far easier. So I often wonder if that is why these factions have just become more rigid or went on to becoming more rigid. And I do hope, and I do have hope, that it changes very quickly. But coming back to speaking of rural, and I'm glad that comes up here, because that's what I'm personally passionate about. Rajasthan was, as we know, an early experimenter with Panchayati Raj. This is where it began. So question for both of you. Has Panchayati Raj meaningfully redistributed power in rural Rajasthan? I haven't really explored all of Rajasthan, you would know better. And I'm going to also add one more question. How has women's political reservation reshaped rural leadership, especially in historically patriarchal regions?
I think initially, as Rimaji said, this Sarpanch Pati thing was also there, and it's still there. Now many people call themselves Sarpanch Pratinidhi, the husband. But despite that, I would say the results have been mixed, because there are a lot of women also who are taking their individual agency, bringing change, as you would know about it. And it's not easy for the Sarpanch Pati anymore to, I would say, to have a free hand everywhere. So that I think during our reporting trips to some of the remotest villages in Rajasthan, be it in western Rajasthan or in the tribal belt of Udaipur, Dungarpur, we have seen that women are very politically conscious and aware. As I think one example is the number of women whom we find in rallies of women leaders like Vasundhara Raje. So after Vasundhara Raje came in, this women vote bank was actually cultivated by her, and which is not like a flimsy or a fictional thing. It is real there. So I think change is happening, although the speed, whether it is it's debatable whether it's happening fast enough, but I think it is happening. Kavina, would you elaborate?
Yeah, I think earlier it was 33% reservation, and now then it's 50% reservation. And in Rajasthan, I think there are 50,000 female sarpanches at the moment. So I think that is the data. Maybe I could be slightly wrong, or it's a round figure, but around 50,000 female sarpanches. And we should, not because you're a friend and you're in the panelists, I think you also motivated so many to come forefront, your 10 years of contribution, and there's so many others, especially, I think the panchayat election, there is a pattern from feudal to mainstream, then, for OBCs coming in the forefront, then ST and SCs coming for MLA and MP, and finally, women and, coming from the marginalized communities, they want to have a say. And this, panchayat election is one of the way, after the three-tier system was made, and 33 and 50% reservation, and you see that 50,000 is a lot of number if you see on record. I mean,
okay.
But yes, this Sarpanch Pati phenomenon is very much still there. But I've seen a difference. There's a Sarpanch called Kamla Devi. I met her 3 times in Karoli. At least thrice recently I got to meet her in Jaipur. She had come for some work. First time I still remember when I used to talk to her about something in her village, husband would answer the phone. कि वो तो अभी नहीं, आपको क्या बात करनी है, मुझसे बात करिए ना, आप मुझसे बात करो. And she would also say, I can't answer you, talk to him. In her second tenure, she was there and husband was there, and she was just looking from behind. Now this time she's so confident. She is using a smartphone, she's sending a video because she enjoyed power, she enjoyed, talking to people. She thought, the voicing, bringing voices of others, there is a change. But it's a consistent change. For example, see Sanjana Jadhav, we mentioned in a book. Recently we got to cover her. She's from Bharatpur, and she's from SC community. She's a Jadhav. She's a very young lady who became member parliament. I mean, again from a marginalized community. I mean, these people are
We have-
change makers,
Yes.
and that's why Rajasthan. There is hope. There's a lot of hope, and there's a lot of resilience, and there's a lot of hope in Rajasthan.
Yes, there definitely is, and a lot is changing. And I do hope those who are seated here, we can nudge that change far more, because yes, crime against women unfortunately continues to be on the rise, and a lot of look needs to happen in that direction. Now, owing to paucity of time, I'm quickly going to have what I thought would be interesting, a little rapid fire, and then open up for Q&A to the audience. So please think up of your questions while I do the rapid fire questions. One myth about Rajasthan's politics you would like to bust? Deep, this is for you.
Well, I would say I would repeat what I said before, that Rajasthan's politics.
No, you're not allowed to repeat.
Then it's something new. Yeah. So Rajasthan is often, like I would say, seen through the prism of deserts and forts and camels and elephants. It's not that. It's so much more than that. It's interesting, and we hope that this book of ours, people read it and people write more books about it, so that we also know maybe.
So you're going to
things that
inspire
people
many
don't
more.
know.
And
Yeah.
anyone wants to write here, we know the three who we need to come to seek guidance and mentorship. To Dr. Huja, question for you. One historical event that continues to shape today's political behavior.
I think that's an easy one, really. The fact that 1947, 15th August, India becomes independent, but with it, the states, the princely states, have to take a call, and they join India. They eventually get merged. That, I think, for the people and the kingdoms and everything, was a deciding factor. That has changed the way we've gone forward.
All right. Tabina, for you, is Rajasthan's democracy becoming more inclusive or more concentrated?
More inclusive. I mean, imagine who could have imagined like 10, 15 years ago, tribals of Rajasthan forming their own party. Because we only have two strong parties, Congress and Rajasthan. It's a two-party system in Rajasthan, majorly dominated, which dominate the politics of Rajasthan. But then we have RLP, we have BAP, we have RLD, or we have BSP. They are very much important in nowadays. When you're voicing your concerns. So I mean, yes, I'll call it inclusive.
Great, thank you. There's one question I did have, which is, if someone who has never visited Rajasthan, and given the fact that both of you are technically from outside of Rajasthan, if someone wanted to understand its politics in one sentence, what would you tell them?
Read our book.
Read the book. Fantastic. I'm glad I asked you that question.
Ditto.
To
We're
the
not
audience.
outsiders.
Yeah, you're not, but you came in.
See, if you
from
have
outside.
to go for all the best historic books, when we were
Are the best.
young, and Rima's books. And now if you have to go for political non-fiction, go to our book.
All right, now the three of you owe me a party, right? For that. Audience, we two quick questions, only questions, no remarks, please. Yes, sir. Mic is right next to you.
My question is for Tabina and Deep. After having gone through the experience of researching, understanding, interpreting, and writing the book, where do you see Rajasthan in next 10 years?
Next year, sabka matlab hai next election. It's going to be very crucial.
Not next election.
In 10 years. In 10 years. It's in 10 years politically, or in 10 years development-wise. I think it's thriving development-wise. You're sitting in RIC, like, it's such a fabulous place. It's development. It's an institution where we are all sitting together. And so many similar things are in Rajasthan, which are thriving. At least there's a place for a intellectual talk. So it says that state is, moving ahead. And when it comes to politically, I think we are still 3 years away from the elections. Then is one more elections. And we need to see if the people want to repeat the anti-incumbency phenomena which is existing here. They want to bring out a new government and throw this one, or maybe continue. But that is, we really don't know. Both the parties have to work. And एक और चीज बता देती हूँ मैं आपको जो शायद ऐसे नहीं कभी बताया. People often ask us after coming from rallies, who is winning, who is losing, what is your understanding. One more surprising element about Rajasthan: you cover the election, you talk the people, you try to sit down and make numbers, how many, it all goes haywire. कुछ बताते नहीं ये लोग, है ना. I mean, बहुत प्यार से आपको चाय पिलाएंगे, बातें करेंगे बहुत सारी, and then you at the end of the day you're like, okay, what did they tell us? So we never claim that we know what's happening.
Awesome. One
Ravina,
last.
there's a
That's
chapter in
democracy
your
happening
book.
right there.
There's a chapter in your book, The Game Changer. You are an excellent storyteller. Could you narrate a story in 2 minutes about the essence of the chapter, The Game Changer?
I think like 20-30 years
Sorry.
ago.
My sincere apologies because I'm.
But
getting
it's a
singer
game
from
changer.
that.
But there's a chapter on called a Game Changer, and it's about our former Chief Minister Vasundhara Raje. It's basically a profile of hers as a two-time CM, and it also talks about the development that was being done during her time, and struggle in fighting, challenges she had within the party, outside the party, how she became a mass leader, and how she became the larger than the party, a mass icon. So I think if you read the chapter, you'll enjoy reading.
I
Thank
request
you.
all of you to pick up the book. I'm sorry, we have to wrap up.
I think one last question, Mr. Loda. Yeah.
Thank
One last. Yes,
Kapil,
sir.
I'm sorry I've not read the book so far.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I haven't seen it.
I tried.
This is a conceptual question. If you try to figure out the book at a conceptual level, I'd like to say that politics in Rajasthan has become more and more of a zero-sum game, where both the parties are trying to egg out at all the castes, because you're talking about politics in castes. So one is about, has political competition in Rajasthan become more and more of a zero-sum game? And has it also led to, speaking from the religious point of view, there's a lot of ideological convergence between the two political players? Thank you.
Well, I think Rajasthan
Great
is
question.
politics is a place of contradiction, because there is no caste arithmetic that you can say that this is something that will make you win in the elections. As we have seen, since the beginning, initially the Jat community was supporters of Congress because of land reforms, and the Rajput community supported Jansangh and later the BJP. But now if we see, there are plenty of leaders of the Jat community in the BJP and vice versa, Rajput leaders in the Congress. So there is no, I think, fixed caste arithmetic. There are some outlines, broad outlines which parties follow. But apart from that, the outcome of the election, it completely depends on local timely factors at that time, and including the personalities of the leaders.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that question. And I guess, all of you need to read this book, definitely. And I think perhaps the real story is not so much about the disappearance of dynasties, as perhaps the title may get people to think, but it's more about democracy's remarkable ability to absorb legacy power. And this is not just royalty, but other legacy, family legacies, and reshape it. Rajasthan reminds us that institutions matter, but so do memory, identity, and social negotiation. That's a constant. Thank you to our distinguished panelists and to all of you for being such engaging audience with history.